All right, what's up, guys? So, I got a huge surprise for you guys. I have a huge surprise. Let me take away the screen real quick. Here we go. And, guys, you won't believe what I have the one, the only, the legend, Pamela Anderson in the studio with me today. I'm just kidding. I'm not even going front. I can't even do that with a straight face. I'm sorry. It's not true. I'm jiving, guys. I'm jiving. But I am editing. And generally, what I do when editing is when I'm here at the studio by myself editing, I have something on that I'm watching at the same time. And one of the things I was watching the last time was the documentary of, you know, everybody's coming out with a documentary these days, but it was on Netflix with Pamela Anderson. And so I was watching that. And yeah, it was very interesting. So I want to talk about that as I am editing, if that's all right. So we're gonna do like a little mini review of the show, but not even necessarily a review. But I want to talk about some of my impressions on some of the things she went through, because a lot of her life was in photography. Though it was in like Playboy and stuff like that, it was, you know, a lot of it was photography related and film related, and as a result, her fame just kind of rose, especially as she hit Baywatch. So I want to talk about some of that as I am editing, because some of the stuff, man, it can be, you know, it can be boring. So let's get to it. Actually, let's just talk about what I'm editing right now. Let's go to desktop here. So I want to enter a few images into a competition. So I've already edited these ones so far, right? This is a nice black and white that I wanted to put in to the competition. I couldn't decide whether this one, and again, these are already finished. So I couldn't decide whether this one or that one. I think I did both. And I also did a color. Why is it taking so long? There we go. I did this color rendition of her standing. And this one is also already edited. And so, yeah. So I did the shoot probably like about 2.5 weeks ago. And I did it specifically to enter a competition, and also I was going to try to get them published. Okay, and so that's what I'm doing, but I have the option to enter a few more images. I have the option to enter a few more images. If you guys have ever heard of Portrait Masters, it's by Sue Bryce, and if you're a part of like her group, or you can enter in if you're just a photographer and you want. And what they'll have like a panel of judges from like people who have like really successful photography businesses, and those panel of judges will judge your images, and you can also it's a paid competition. You have to pay to get in, and two, you can have them critique your images for like an additional amount. And so that's what I'm doing. I believe in investing in my craft and getting better. And so I invest in myself in these ways, and I do these creative shoots. And one of the things I'm actually thinking of doing is I love the shoot so much, and I'm like, yo, maybe some people would actually pay to dress up, right, as like a Greek goddess or whatever. I'm not into the whole goddess thing, just so y'all know. But maybe they'll pay to dress up as a Greek goddess and come and do a shoot like this. And so you guys can think about that, like some creative ways if you're a photographer, some creative ways of creating interesting shoots. Like as you can see behind me, I bought some plants, and that's some fake plants, and I did this like really cool, I call it a green ivy shoot. So like, you know, that's something that is marketable, I think, and it's unique, it's different. So if someone is looking for just a unique experience, instead of just your standard photography, your standard thing, then that's cool ideas. You know what I'm saying? Again, I get this stuff off of Pinterest, bro. Like I didn't come up with this stuff on my own. Like I literally just, especially for this Greek shoot, like I don't know, I just chose by random was difficult and came to mind, I had zero inspiration, and I just kept searching the internet for inspiration and just eventually came up with this stuff. All right, so let me pull up this chat. Let me just see if there's anybody in the chat here. Hold up before I get going. I'm gonna just pull up this chat. I don't know. Well, let me mute that up real quick. Moderation helps. Okay, close. All right, there we go. There's nobody in the chat yet. That's fine. I'm still gonna edit because I know it's gonna get saved. And sorry. Again, I'm very new to streaming, so please bear with me. There we go. All right, great. And so, yeah, so I have these, how many? These 6 images here that are really, really close. And I don't want to edit all 6 of them. Oh, sorry. I need to put up the cam. There we go. I have these 6 images that are really close. I don't want to edit all 6 because they're too close. So I could tell you right off the bat, the ones that I'm interested in, I like this one because of the position of the head and the fact that this second part of this curtain is blowing out. And I had a fan that was blowing the curtains. And so like you'll see like behind the scenes BTS, you'll see some behind the scenes on how I did this shoot. I don't too like this one because I feel like the curtain is cutting into her body a little bit too much. So this one right here so far is my favorite. And maybe this one. I don't know. I'm not too feeling the way she's touching her face. I don't feel like it tells the story. I was kind of going for this idea that, you know, this lone Greek housewife is her husband or man or whatever is on in battle or whatever, and you know, she's kind of waiting. And that was kind of the whole storyline behind this. What's going on? I'm getting a lot of alerts here. Okay. And so she's kind of waiting for him to come home. Yeah, and so she's waiting for him to come home, and maybe, you know, she sees the army, you know, on their way back or some junk like that. You know, I don't know. I'm coming up with a storyline here. And now, you know, so the previous one is like she's kind of lonely. She's sitting at home up here, you know, in this images. And now she's like, oh my gosh, he's coming. And now she's like looking out the window, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of the idea I had when creating this storyline. I know it's kind of elaborate, but, you know, who knows? Who cares? So anyways, I like this one, I think, out of all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and spring for this one here. And, oh man, it looks so good already. God, I love this image. Anyways, I did a great job, man. I did a great job. All right, so I'm going to just go desktop only, so you're just going to see the desktop and me moving stuff around. I might do a little commentary on what I'm doing, but not too much. We're going to talk about this show, guys. We're going to talk about this show, this documentary. So, and one of the reasons why I would even talk about this is, again, because of the fact that photography played a huge part in her career. Through Playboy and through some other advertising that she did. So actually, first I'm going to, man, I think the shadows are great. I'm gonna bring up the blacks a little bit just so I have all the details there. And so photography played a huge part in her career and everything that she did, and sort of the way it started for her. And I'm going to turn off some of these lights. Some of the ways it started for her was this girl literally was growing up in this little small town in Canada. She was growing up in this small town in Canada, and nothing was going for her, right? Like there was absolutely nothing at all going for her. And so, but one day she went to like some kind of game, like a hockey game or maybe some other sporting event, and she was wearing this T-shirt, with a brand on it. And so that they put her up on the jumbotron. And so one of her friends were like, "Hey, why don't you stand up and show off your T-shirt?" And so she stands up and she shows off her T-shirt, and say it was like Surfer Shark, like a Surfer Shark T-shirt. I'm just like making up a name right now. And she shows off the Surfer Shark T-shirt, and she became like the Surfer Shark girl, like something stupid like that. She became like the Surfer Shark girl. And from that, um, the T-shirt brand reached out to her and said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this brand shoot for us?" And so then she's like, "All right, fine. I'll do the shoot with you guys. No, no problem," because she had nothing going on anyways, right? And so she did the shoot with this company, Surfer Shark or whatever it is. I'm just making up a name right now. You guys would have to go watch the series to get it. She did this shoot with this brand, and Playboy gets a whiff of it. They're like, "Yo, well, come and shoot for us. Come to California, come shoot for us, and that would be amazing." She's just like, "Yeah, I'm getting out of the small town ASAP." You know what I mean? And so she bounced from her family or whatever, and her mom and her parents were very were supportive of her going off and doing this thing with Playboy. And in a way, I don't feel like she understood like what she was getting into. You know what I'm saying? From the story. Now, again, guys, I don't want to be completely. I don't want to seem like completely naive to think that, okay, before I even get into this, that this documentary didn't slant her story in a specific way. I know it was probably slanted. It was probably, some of it was probably, directed by a director so that she could be seen in a more sympathetic light or whatever, because her career just hit a rock bottom, man. I feel like she has nothing to show for her entire life, pretty much, right? She has 55 years. She's 55 years old now, and as a result, just has nothing like significant to show. She has like nothing like truly significant to show in her for her life, right? Which is kind of sad. So I have no doubt that this was an attempt to kind of put some income in her pocket, and also maybe to put her back into some of the limelight. Who knows? I don't know. I'll just throw that out there. That might be a possibility, right? But so now she runs off to Playboy, and of course gets caught up in that world. And from Playboy, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. And two, if you guys are gonna watch this, just know that they're gonna show some images of like the Playboy and stuff. I don't recommend this for everyone, right? Or I don't recommend this at all. I'm not even gonna put it out there because I'm not big on like pornography or whatever. So yeah, so Playboy brings her out, and then from there, it opens up the door for her to get onto Baywatch. Now, from what she said, she wasn't even making any money from Playboy. Playboy was literally a way to like get her notoriety. That was pretty much the benefit, probably one of the only benefits of Playboy, was just to get her some level of notoriety. Let's look at the before and after. After doing some like skin even out the skin tone, brought up the shadows, brought up the blacks, and that's kind of the difference right there. Oh man, that's looking beautiful, bro. Oh my gosh, that's looking so good. All right, so I'm gonna export. I'm gonna export in actually the highest setting so I can get the best out of this image. All right, so she goes off to Playboy, and she's doing her thing there. This is going to dramatically slow down the system. I wonder if I should do it. Okay, I'm going to do 150. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference in pixels. But 16-bit is going to dramatically slow down the system. All right, so she runs off to Playboy, and now she's doing this, you know, these images with Playboy and whatever, and then she gets onto Baywatch. Baywatch, like, explodes her on the scene, right? She, like, her whole life changes through Baywatch, and now she's internationally known, and so on. But through Baywatch, and then through Playboy is, you know, she sees these beautiful women in Playboy, and she sees these like beautiful women through Playboy. All right, so I'm gonna work on the background a little bit before I start getting to the skin retouching, right? So she starts doing the through Playboy, sees these beautiful women, and she's just like, man, how can I look like them? Now, note that she had this really she was beautiful, period, without any enhancements, without anything, but she was seeing all these mutant. Sorry, no, I'm not gonna say that. But like women that were, went under the knife, and so as a result have like unnaturally beautiful bodies. And then her agent is like, yo, all that stuff can be paid for, so she goes under the knife. And this is the point of me telling the story, right? She goes under the knife, and okay, let me just explain what I'm doing right here real quick, because this might be this is not part of my normal process. One of the things I wanted to do in this shoot was to have the curtains move and do a shutter drag so that the curtains would blur, but then my model would still be still. The way to do that is I didn't have everything I needed, because I would need like a really strong constant light. And I would also need flash on her face and body to kind of keep her still, but yet the curtains moving. So anyways, it required more than what I had available in studio. So I have to do the blurring of the curtains in post. So that's what I'm trying to do right here, because I want to give some level of movement to the curtains. So just so you know, and you can see what I'm doing, because it's not a part of my normal process to do this, right? And so, yeah, so she gets this notoriety from Playboy. She gets on Baywatch. And then on Baywatch, she starts getting all these like interviews on television. And I just thought it was interesting that with all the interviews that she was getting, everybody just started to ask her about her boobs. Because, for her, and from what she was saying, is that like, she did her boobs because, and this is before boob jobs were popular or whatever, right? She did her boobs because of what she saw from the other Playboy models, right? But now she's on like the international stage, and now she has these like not ginormous, but like some pretty good sized boobs. But every show, every interview they went on, is like clockwork. They would ask her, are your boobs real? You know what I mean? Like, it became this huge thing, like if her boobs were real or not. And so she was being known for literally her physical appearance. And I just thought that was a very interesting thing, a very interesting thing to note, right? Her entire worth, what people wanted to know the most about her, was directly in relation to how big her boobs were. Now, again, I don't even want to say like I'm against, women getting their boobs done or whatever. That's not the case. But to minimize who someone is, right? To minimize a person to just basically what they look. And I know I'm like probably shooting myself in the leg here because photography kind of revolves around the image of a person. And I think that's why I'm even talking about this, right? The image of someone. And so we take images of people and we edit them to look their best, and we Photoshop like how I'm doing right now. So I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot with this conversation here. I need to straighten out the frame before I go any further because it's going to bother me. Yeah, right there. And I'm looking at this thing here just to kind of even it out and make it a little bit more straight. There we go. All right, that's better. I was a little tilted. All right, so anyways, they were, and I'm about to do some liquefying actually, so that again I'm shooting myself in the foot some more. I'm gonna flatten this and make another layer. Okay. So the main thing that the interviewers would be talking about, and I mean it was just talk show after talk show after talk show after talk show. They were just like talking about her boobs and whatnot, right? And so it was, see, because of the dress has kind of taken away some of her shape. So I'm just making sure that that is not lost, but not too much. Because that's not the point of this. It's not like supposed to be, I just don't want like weird shapes. So they were talking about her boobs a ton, and for her, she was just like, I don't know. And then after a while, she just kind of got used to doing these interviews and learn how to kind of talk around it, you know what I mean? Because that's what they were interested in. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you continually call someone trash from the time they were born, you know what will happen is that their entire self-worth will start to kind of grow around that, right? Their entire self and identity will start to be based on the name that you call them. So it's like, okay, is that all I am? All right, before, after. So I just kind of brought back some of the shape, not much, but the dress was kind of big on her, and so a lot of her shape was lost as a result. This is the tag here, but I'm kind of actually feeling the tag. I'm going to, let me do a little bit of, let me hide it just a little bit here. There we go. I'm kind of feeling the tag. I kind of like it hanging out. It looks like it's a part of the dress, which I kind of like. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm not sure if everyone will have the same appreciation for it as I would. So this is a competition. I'm not trying to have people guess what I'm trying to do here. All right, there we go. All right, time to do skin retouching. And so a lot of her self-worth, what people saw in her, was based on her boobs, bro. And so that became a huge problem, for her at least. And I don't think she realized it until now, right? You know, again, you don't have the upbringing to be able to differentiate. You don't have she didn't have an upbringing that instilled a lot of self-worth in her. You know, and as a dad, man, who has a daughter and who realizes that, like, telling your daughter that she's beautiful and really kind of emphasizing that and emphasizing not only her beauty, but her smarts and her personality and loving her for who she is and all that, that's important. I realize how important that is, you know, for any father to do that for any father to do that for their daughters. And from what the documentary was saying, she never received that. Now she's getting this attention to her boobs, and that's it, right? And also all these other men are coming after her. Some of the heartthrobs on like some of these shows are coming after her and what have you. So anyways, I'm not even going to go any further on her story. If you want to see it, then you can watch the documentary and kind of draw your own conclusion. But one thing I wanted to say about about beauty, and I thought that was and I thought it was important that like to not necessarily base self-worth on just looks, right? Like just and I know that's a thing, right? Because like a lot of women, and I'll just come out and say this and I'll be strong about it, is that a lot of women will, if they look a certain way, then they'll use that to build their careers, which is okay, which I'm fine with. Use it to build their careers, but then that same look, oh, when you get to a certain level of notoriety and whatever, and God forbid if they get some haters or whatever. Like I've seen some models just go ham on some haters and just treat them in such and treat other people in such like a demeaning way and calling them ugly and don't you see how I look? And I'm just like, wait a second, man. Let me tell you something. There's nothing that is more unattractive than, let's say, an aesthetically beautiful woman being nasty in their attitude and in the way they treat other people. There's nothing more unattractive and ugly than a woman who is I'm gonna just say aesthetically or symmetrically pleasing, right? Than a woman that's symmetrically pleasing that goes and just treats other people like trash. There's nothing uglier than that. And sometimes it's based on the fact that we in society have put them on a certain pedestal that their character and their upbringing is unable to keep them. You see what I'm saying? We've put them at a certain height that they don't have the breadth. You know, they don't have the experience to they don't have the experience and wherewithal to kind of to traverse that height, right? Because when you're put on the pedestal, it's going to give you certain notoriety. It's going to draw some attention to you. And do you have the character to traverse that? And a lot of people don't. All right. So this is where this is coming from, right? There was this girl in college. I liked her. She was beautiful, just an amazing person. She loved to smile, just absolutely beautiful girl, right? I was, of course, attracted to her, right? So, but of course, you know, back then I was scared because I wasn't very good at choosing the right girl. And for me, I was just like, yo, man, I'm not going to wreck nobody else's life. I'm going to really, you know, I decided to hold out for my wife, right? And so I had stopped dating at the time because my dating career was just not very good. I wasn't doing very good in the dating area. And so I was just like, but I admired her from afar. And so later on, a couple years after I left college and left school and whatever, I checked up on her on Facebook and I was just like, hey, I wonder what she's doing. I would see like some posts from her or whatever, and I checked up on her and see what she was doing. And it turns out like this girl I don't think I ever saw her without makeup, right? But she always looked good, always dressed well, whatever. And I saw this girl, and you know, full transparency, she was Caucasian, blonde, just really nice girl. Nice as in like personality and looks, you know, just had everything. And I saw this girl, her hair wasn't curled, it was all down. She was sunburnt. She was in the dirt, and she was like, I forget what country in Africa she was, but she was in Africa, and she was taking care of like some orphans in Africa, and she was just in the dirt, and she'd become a missionary. And I was just like, oh my God, that to me was beautiful. That to me was like, no makeup. She was sunburnt. She didn't have the clothes. She didn't look you know what I mean? And I was like, yo, that is amazing. To me, that is cool. Like, I've never even been to Africa before. And I plan to go, of course. I plan to go to well, I'm not gonna say because I know people are looking for me in Africa. I know some people there, but I plan to go really soon, either this year or next year. And because I have some brothers and sisters that are there, and I have some people in that side of the world, so I want to go check them out, see what they're doing. But either way, and I saw her in Africa, and she was playing with these kids. She was in the dirt. She was all sunburnt. Her skin, her hair was just a mess. And I was like, that said something to me. You see what I'm saying? That said something to me in a way that was like, she used her beauty in just a very kind way. You know what I'm saying? To inspire those who were less than. And I think, if ever there was a purpose for beauty, it's for that. If ever, like, God blessed you with the symmetrical, symmetrical beauty, because that's really all it is. It's certain people are just blessed with like certain symmetry in their faces or whatever, or in their bodies. And so, like, if God ever blesses you with that level of symmetry and aesthetic beauty that society considers to be beautiful, let me tell you something, man, that there's a purpose for it. And it's not just for a career. You know what I'm saying? It's not just to build your career. But your beauty has influence, and it should be used wisely. You know what I mean? Like, just like Spider-Man, dude. Like, with much power comes much responsibility. And this goes for guys too. Because there's some beautiful looking dudes out there who have lost their identity and have not, like, don't have much purpose for what they're doing and purpose for living and whatever, right? They're blessed with this symmetry and have and don't realize that, you know what, who I am and how I look actually has a purpose. And so I want to say that I just want to put that out there, that like your beauty and your symmetry can inspire others. And I just see, like, I remember when I was a kid, and that the teachers, I think, maybe, I don't know. But then you have beautiful teachers or beautiful people who just really are able to speak into your life, bro. And they encourage you to do good, and they encourage you to do, to keep pushing and whatever. And sometimes that speaks more into your life than a lot of other things, than a lot of other people. And that it goes deeper sometimes, I think, right? When you have someone that is beautiful and they're actually kind, and they're not stuck up, they're not arrogant, they're not any of those things. And so one of the reasons too I brought up Pamela is because her beauty was sort of wasted. And the part that kind of sent an alarm going through my head was that whatever, where she lives now in Canada, and she was just like, maybe I just came home to die. She's 55 years old, and that's not even old. She's still very young. She's still very active and whatever, but she's like, maybe I just came home to die. She never thought she'd be coming back home. And she was restless being home or whatever. But, like, that was kind of alarming. And I think for someone like her right now, I feel like she's probably even living for her kids. She got two boys. And she's probably living for her kids. And so she's found a level of purpose in what she's doing. And so, like, which is great. Love that. You know what I'm saying? But what about the other persons or people who don't have that? Who don't have that, like, thing to live for? And all you have is, like, the beauty. Which actually, beauty, beauty doesn't stay forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it actually dissipates after a certain amount of time. I mean, I'm now hitting 40, and I'm seeing my skin and body and face and everything change so quickly and rapidly that it's kind of weird and scary, and a lot of us try to hold on to that as long as possible, which is fine, whatever. But where's your self-worth at? Where's your purpose at? And so I'm going into some frequency separation. Oh, so yeah, that's what it is, man. Editing with editing with Pamela Anderson. I'm probably about 65 maybe percent into this edit, and I've already finished the spiel that I intended to say. Um, I hope that this is an early live, so I don't know if I don't think I was expecting anyone to be on, but hopefully someone else can read or listen to this a little later on and find some worth in it. I think 9, that looks good. The details on her eyelashes are gone. Yeah, 8, 9 looks really good. And so for me too, as a photographer, I'm trying not to be a photographer that exploits anyone and that reduces them to what their body is. You know what I'm saying? And reduce someone to just the way they look. If you hear some of the conversations I try to have in studio with like different models or different subjects or different clients that I have, it's not going to be necessarily revolved around their look, but it's going to be revolved around, okay, what's your future looking like? Like, what's your plans? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we're doing the shoot, but you're more than just how you look. What's your financial plans? What are your business plans? What are your, self aspirations? What's your mental health looking like? Is what I'm saying? Is all that stuff right now is so important. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us, and we see how badly, for instance, mental health was, especially when COVID hit, when a lot of us got stuck at home. Now, mental health wasn't like a big thing, isn't a big thing for me. Thankfully, I had like I had a really strong upbringing with my parents, and I think that I cannot. I have to say I put a lot of stock in what my parents did for me, and so like I did fairly well during COVID because I decided to push harder at the things I was doing, and I had a good support system. So whatever I was doing, and whatever success I gained or have through, or sustainability, let's say, whatever sustainability is not because of me, it's because of my support system and because of my upbringing and the parents I had and stuff like that. But some people don't have that. And so we really saw like, come on. That's weird. What's going on here? Okay. And we really saw a decline in being in one place and being worried about food and being worried about your job, being worried about just multiple different things, and fear started to come in, and what if I don't make it and stuff like that. And through all of these things, it really put a pressure on a lot of people's mental health as a result. And because of that, we saw a huge decline and a huge increase in as I say, decline in mental health and an increase in suicides, which was that hit me really hard. And that's probably that's pushing me into some of the projects I want to do later on this year, is to really I want to create some content that really helps people what is that? That inspires people in mental health and in inspires people in their mental health. Yeah, that's it. And so we saw a huge decline, and I think, what are you doing? Oh, keep hitting the wrong thing. And so for me, I want to not just emphasize people's looks, even though like that's majority of my business, right, is about but I want to emphasize beyond the looks. I want to emphasize like who you are as a person, not just how you look. There's a little birthmark right here. Is it a birthmark or maybe it was makeup? Okay. Now she has some redness in her hands and a little bit on her shoulder and a little yellowness right here. I don't know, I got a dodge and burn right here. This looks weird. I don't know, it's a shadow of some kind. Okay. So this image has a little bit of work to do. Let me see you zoom out. Let me see how it looks. Sometimes when you zoom in, yeah, that looks weird. Did I do that? I thought I was trying to be very, very careful. All right, let's. Yeah, that shadow looked really strange. That's the problem with I'm just smoothing out that shadow a little bit. Okay, that's really strong. Huh. It was there from before. I think I emphasized it too much. Yeah. I brought too much into her cheek. Okay. So I'm going to take some of this and bring it down. So as to make the gradient between that light and dark a little bit better. Before, after. I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. Yeah. That's the downside about using the mixer brush. You have to be careful with these shadows. You can end up drawing colors that are really, really strange. And there's a few blemishes I want to shape up a little bit here. Yeah. How does that look? Okay. I'm gonna put on some dodge and burn. See, if dodge and burn is like the best way to edit, right? It's absolutely the best way to edit. You will get the cleanest image from dodging and burning. Do I have the time to dodge and burn that much? No, I don't. So that's why I'm going the mixer brush route. Though, again, sometimes you can end up with like a plastic fantastic look. So I'm trying my best to be like very, very careful on that. All right, I'm gonna put it up to 16. I don't like the shadow on her cheek. So I'm actually gonna reduce it with some. Okay. And I'm gonna drop this to a 4. And this shadow right here. Okay. That was scary. Okay. Very, very good. That looks amazing. Okay, sweet. And now I'm gonna fix up some of the Additional, actually no, that might be a dodge and burn issue. What are you doing, man? Use the brush. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I likes it. I likes it a lot. It's so beautiful. Nice. I still want to smoothen that out just a tad bit more. I don't like what's going on around her lips right here. Like right here on the side of her face. So I'm gonna take the stamp tool and move some of this texture around. Nice, nice, nice. Ooh, so beautiful. Dang, dude. I got skills, bruh. Really? I got skills. All right. Now, I really stink at burning after I just said how much skills I got. I really stink at burning. So I'm going to try my best. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. Try your best. So today's President's Day, and my kids are home from school. So we're actually going to film. I'm going to actually do a short film with my kids to test out the new camera. And I have a bunch of other projects that I want to do, and I hope to publish on my channel here. That's kind of one of the reasons why I named my company initially Perfection Films. Before I got the studio, I named it Perfection Films because I knew I wanted to do films. And so I named it Films. Of course, I started out doing weddings, which is very confusing for a lot of my clients because they're like, why do you name yourself Perfection Films if you do weddings? I'm like, look, man, you know, I got aspirations. I'm looking towards the future, okay? I'm looking towards the future, the way of the future. All right. Nino Batista has these actions. There's one that's red and yellow adjust. I'm gonna play it real quick. I don't quite remember what's in it. Okay, so it's a hue saturation layer, and he has a yellow shift and a red shift. Let me see. I think in the yellows, he reduces the saturation in the yellows and also shift it towards red. Shift the yellows towards red. And then in this one, he takes the reds and reduces saturation and shifts it towards yellow. It's really ingenious. I know I just kind of gave away some of the stuff, but if you want to support him, then you can go ahead and purchase his plugins. I think they're worth it. Now, if you notice right here on her shoulder, it's a little yellow, but then right here in the crook of her like armpit a little bit, it's a little red. And so I'm gonna shift those colors back towards center. So let's go. I'm gonna use 12. I'm gonna shift this yellow. Oh my gosh, that's cool. Actually, on the back of her arm right here is a little red. Might have been like a rash or something. And right here was a little red. Oh, come on. And then her knuckles were red, so I'm gonna shift that towards yellow. Nice. And a little bit right here on the side of her hand. Very good. Come on. There we go. What else? some of the rosiness in her cheek. I think I got rid of that. So I'm going to actually bring that back with a yellow shift towards red to bring back some of that rosiness, make her look human again. And I'm going to take away some of the yellow off of her nose. Nope, I don't like that. All right. I think that is looking beautiful. That's looking really, really good. And one thing I forgot to fix on this background is the brightness of the curtain. Especially like the lower part of this curtain is too bright. I'm going to fix that later. Okay, I'm going to pull up another one of my images because I want to see. Let me save it first. I want to keep the same color scheme and stuff like that I did for another one of the images, so I can make sure that everything looks cohesive. How long is this stream so far? It's probably like over an hour. But yeah, I'm taking my time on this thing because it's kind of important. All right. Close Scrivener and reopen Capture One. This is 21. I don't have a reason to, and I'm going to open this image. I don't have a reason to upgrade yet, so I'm just keeping it at 21. I might go over to their subscription plan. I don't know. Man, that looks good. See, I would deliver something like this to a client. This is how I would deliver it, because that just looks clean. And then this looks really dirty because I added a color grade. Oh, shoot. Did I flatten it? Oh, no. Yeah, the file was probably too big, so I flattened it. Oh, snap. Okay. All right. Well, I guess they're going to look different. It's fine. No big deal. No big deal, darling. Let's keep it moving. All right. So I'm going to stamp visible layer. I'm going to just try to get as close as possible. It's not going to look close. It's just not going to look close. Let me see. Oh, man. I don't know. I have a feeling of what I did, but I'm not sure. All right, let's go. Let's see what we can do. All right, so I'm going to go camera raw. And I'm going to go down to the color. Color mixer. Luminance. I'm going to take the orange. I'm going to drop the orange and drop her skin tone just a tad bit. Some more. A tad bit more. How does that look? Okay. If anything, I can reduce the opacity if it's too much. Yeah, I think that looks fine. Okay. So I'm actually going to, let me see if it'll allow me. If I run a second dodge and burn, because sometimes, I don't know. Yeah, it messes it up. I don't know why it does that, Junk. Why do you do that? Wait, what? Okay. It's the action. There's something wrong with the action. Okay. Anyways, but it's here. So I'll do that. So I'm going to take the dodge and I'm going to paint back some of the highlights on her face here. Because dropping the orange got rid of like all the highlights. So I'm going to go ahead and paint back some of the highlights to her face. Right? Or I'll just say dodge the highlights back. I'm going to crank this up a little bit more. 55. Let's see how that works. Now, I think there's easier ways of doing this by using the levels tool, but I want to give this a go real quick. Okay. Beautiful, nice. Do a little Cupid's bow situation here. See, I can paint this on. Let's see how it looks so far. Before, after. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's keep it rolling. And just consider how light falls, right? Light will, if it's coming from top down, then it will fall on the flat surfaces, and then areas like her cheeks and stuff will create shadows. So that's why there's a shadow there. Oops, undo. Okay, and I don't like this little shadow right here. That's annoying me. Okay. That's probably really bright. Okay, but I'm going to draw a narrow shadow, highlight down her arm there, right there, right there. Okay. How does that look? Does it look natural? Before? After? When you do it before, after, it doesn't. But let's remove it altogether and increase the opacity slowly until we like the effect. I actually like it around 80. That's surprising. I'm actually going to reduce this, the orange effect to 68. That looks pretty good. All right, very good. Okay, so we're gonna do a little sharpen. So another stamp visible layer. I'm gonna go down to other, high pass filter. I'm gonna wait till I can see, 5 is good. I can see all the details in her eyes. That's generally what I do. Go to hard light. And so that adds like a lot of texture to the image, right? It adds a lot of, yeah, texture. It doesn't feel flat when you add this. Of course, the effect is really strong, so I'm going to take it all the way down. I'm probably going to bring it up to, yeah, like 50% is good. So before, it almost now looks a little blurry. Anyways, before, after. Very good. I'm going to add some, what is this? Maybe heavy noise? you know what? Let me save, because this thing is tempting to do bad things. And I'm going to exit out of Capture One just to save on some system resources. I know I put heavy noise, but all right, let's see. Let me, what is this? Okay, I'm gonna do, let me drop this. It's too much. I'm gonna drop it also to about 50%. Yeah, that looks good. I'm down with that. All right. And again, this is one of Nino Batista's things where I'm going to do, come on, don't die on me. Okay. And so I'm gonna run this action called face focus, and it's going to brighten her face and darken everything else. Now, I don't really need her face brightened. Let me see if I can just take that off. And so, because I felt like I edited her face to be as bright as I wanted it to be, but I am gonna darken everything else. Give it a more moody vibe. Yes. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, we're definitely getting there. Let me drop it maybe to 80. If anything, I'll bring it down more later. Okay. Oh man, that looks great. I'm feeling that. I am totally feeling that. All right, and I'm just checking the chat real quick. Nobody's saying hi. Hello to everyone who's watching. I have 3 people watching, which is cool, man. Thank you guys for joining me. It's a pleasure. Yeah, so that's looking beautiful so far. And if you're just joining me, I'm editing this Greek shoot that I did for, I did it for the purpose of a competition. But I usually do creative shoots anyways. And so, yeah, just so we can see the before and after real quick. That's not where we started, but that's where we imported the image into Photoshop. And this is where we're at, right? It's kind of a dramatic change. All right, so we got noise. What else we got? What else we need now? What else was I gonna change? Oh, the curtain. All right, so I'm just gonna take a curves layer. I'm gonna bring the highlight because it's a highlight issue that I'm having with the curtain. I'm gonna just bring the highlight down, right? And I'm gonna invert that layer. And so, again, if you just start watching, I went on a whole big spiel about Pamela Anderson and her documentary. So that's why this shoot is named. This is why this stream is named Editing with Pamela Anderson. So you'd have to like go back to the beginning to kind of see what that whole thing was about. So yeah, I'm bringing down the highlights on the curtain because highlights oftentimes draw your eyes, and I don't want your eyes to be drawn too far away. I want your eyes to be first drawn to her face. That's why we brightened her face a little bit more, and then your eyes can roam around to the rest of the frame. All right, so let's keep that at 50. I think that looks natural. So it just brings the highlight down on that curtain a little bit. All right, the retouch I think is finished. So let's group all that together. I don't mind flyaways and stuff like that. I'm perfectly okay with that. And then 2, that's gonna take me forever. If I'm in a street, it's gonna take me forever to clean up the flyaways. Not forever, but I don't want to. I'm not going for that like sleek, completely sleek beauty look. This is more like a little bit on the rustic side, ancient looking, you know, that kind of feel. Ancient but modern feel. If you notice, like these vases, the pampas grass, I got that off of Amazon. This vase, oh, it was such a cool find because I went to a consignment shop, which is like used clothes and stuff like that. And it's called Savers. It's here in Connecticut, and I saw it and I was like, I don't have a use for it yet, but I'm gonna totally buy it. And so I have a bunch of stuff that I've bought like that. When I the home that we currently live in, the previous owners, they left this pedestal inside the house, so that's where I got that from. And the curtains I got from like IKEA. Sorry. All right, so let's do a little color grading. I'm not the best at color grading, but I'm gonna try to match it up with my previous image. So I'm going to do I'm gonna do a gradient map. Oh, I think this is what I used. I think this is what I used on the previous thing. Okay, so this is what it is. It has beige. I have sorry, I got people that's the people who are next to me. Anyways, so I have like a beige in the shadows and this blue in the highlights, which is usually like the other way around, right? You usually put the blue in the shadows. Anyways, let's do Ooh, I actually like the vivid light. That's kind of cool. That is kind of cool. Okay, so I'm gonna drop it to 10%. 10%? Let's push it up a little bit more. 25? 25 looks good. $25, $20 looks good. Yeah. Let's see. Before, after, before, after. You know what? It's not. I need a little bit more contrast. So I'm going to actually, in the retouch layer, I have this contrast action that I created. It's brightness and contrast. So I'm going to take off the brightness and only use the contrast. Now all it is, it's a curves layer that's a basic contrast curve, but it uses luminosity. I don't know. I just love the look of a luminosity curve, a luminosity contrast curve. All right, let's because I want it a little bit more dark. Yeah. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. It's different though than the other image. That looks good. All right, so look at the before. Sorry, there's people outside talking. That's the before. And that's the after. See, I what I like about how this turned out is that, again, the foreground is lighter. She's in the foreground. It brings your eyes to the foreground. But then you have like this kind of darker background. It's very cinematic, I think. This darker background with the pampas grass and all that. Actually, I'm going to use this for something. I'm going to use this brightness layer. And I'm going to paint it onto the pampas grass. Because in the shoot, what I had was I had a gobo light. A light that was on a gobo. And it was shooting, it's hard to see it in this image, but in some of my other images, you're able to see it better. Is that it was shooting a window pattern onto the backdrop. Right? So I'm going to paint back some of the highlights onto this jar here. I know it's probably a detail that nobody's going to notice. All right, but look at it. before, after. It's just kind of bright. It just adds a little bit more life to the backdrop so it's not completely dark. And I'm going to drop the opacity on that a tad bit. Yeah, 75 is good. Come on. Kidding me, bro? Look at that. That's the thing, though. Like, none of my images ever turn out looking similar. Like, every time I edit something. But anyways, I think that's it, man. This came out really good. Again, if you want to see everything I did to kind of get this look, you know, if you're trying to do something similar, I know I went really heavy with the noise, which I really didn't have to. Ooh, that actually looks really good without the noise too. It looks really good just clean. Dang it. That's what happens, bro. Like, there's just too many options. Okay, who's calling me? All right, so thank you again for joining me. I'm going to answer this call real quick. Maybe it's a business call. Who knows? And have a great day. Peace. Hi, Perfection Films. Trevon speaking.
Good morning. Do you guys do passport size photographs for foreign countries?
I mainly do like business headshots. You can use it for passports, but
Okay. Because my country, Jamaica, they have like specifications, like specific sizing and those stuff.
oh, okay. So yeah, my headshots generally go for about 250 for like 5 images or 150 for 3 images. So
Okay.
yeah, so it might be a bit much for just a
Yeah,
passport
yeah,
image.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for real. Alrighty, alright, thank you. I understand.
you got it.